Hi, so this is a quick overview of the Vertex Skin Weights tool. This tool is to have very fine control over skin weights and very exact control over skin weights on multiple or single vertices, also over multiple bones at the same time. So this enables you to do stuff that otherwise is a bit laborious or a bit maybe not ideal for weight painting. So here we have just a very basic example of how to use the base tools of this Vertex Skin Weights tool. Here is just a very basic cylinder, just to demonstrate the basic functions of the tool, skinned with automatic skin weights to this set of bones, just to use as an example. To enter this tool, you select the skinned mesh and you go into edit mode. But when you enter edit mode with meshes that you've just skinned, very often these two won't be enabled. So the on cage and edit mode has not been enabled, so you can't see a live update of what's happening to your mesh. So the first thing the tool does is it sets everything up for you, and it also starts the loop that will update your bone list and the weights assigned to them as you start. So just press N or open your side panel, and then you'll see the tool here. And then first thing to do is just to press the start tool, force update, and this will set everything up for you. Now your bone list will update as it should. If your bone list ever doesn't update as it should, just press this again. Under certain circumstances in a session, it can sometimes lose it. It's rare, but if you ever spot a problem in this bone list and you think it's not updating, just press this and it will reset everything again and make sure everything works as it should. It is worth adding that for this tool to appear in your sidebar, you have to have a already skinned mesh selected, either in object mode or in edit mode, for it to appear in your side panel. Otherwise, it would not appear in your side panel. You may ask yourself now, how does this tool improve my skinning process? After all, I can go and select any of these vertices here, and if I go to item, it does actually list the skin weights for me here, and I can go and edit these individual skin weights to whatever I want. So I can move those around and I can edit these to whatever I want. The problem is with the standard vertex weight under the items tab, even though you can edit it here, if you do select more than one, it will always just edit the last selected one. Also, if you have vertices with different values, it will also still just edit the last one that you got selected here. Where with my tool, you can edit multiple vertices, even to multiple bones, all at the same time. Another problem with the standard vertex weight display here on the items is if you look at this, so say if we walk down here, once we get to this, we got this assigned to bone, just one bone, but with the value 0.98, which makes you think that there must be some other weights on it because it hasn't been normalized. If you now go to my tool, you'll see these values would have been normalized already, so you can have a much clearer view of exactly what is happening in your skin weighting and happening in your skin. And it's also at a glance, so you don't have to constantly go between tabs to see what's happening in your skin. As you select these, your bone list here gets automatically updated. So this tool has a few sections, so mainly the Vertex weights editing section of your tool, and then you also got your mirror weights and your copy skin weights tool. But for this section, I'm concentrating on your Vertex weight editing tools. So for your Vertex weight editing tools, the most important thing to understand is actually your bone list. So as I select different vertices, it will immediately here update what these are assigned to. It will list your bones according to which bone has the most weight for that particular vertex. And it will list it from the top to the bottom. So the bone with the most weight will be at the top. If you select multiple bones or multiple vertices, and if these values are the same, it will give you the exact values. And this whole ring here has actually got the same value. So if I select this ring, they all assigned an exactly the same weighting. But say if I now go and select this ring as well, it will give you the average between them. So if I just select these two, it will give me the average bones over these selected vertices and what their average weighting is. And this actually becomes very useful in some unexpected places, especially bleeding out weights over multiple bones. But you can also get a very good sense of what's actually happening in your skinning here. So by here you can tell, or by this bones list display, you can tell that these two bones is almost 50-50 shared between these vertices here. So here you can see that that this bone has got almost no value on average. And even as I select this one as well, you can get a very good sense of what's happening in your skinning. So that's your weighted bone list. But say you wanted to work and edit weights on bones that's not already in this list. So you select this vertex and you want to assign it to some crazy bone. This not in this list here. How do you edit those? And that's where the All Bones tab comes in. So this lists all the bones in your armature. So you can also add weights that's not already weighted, and you can weight them here by listing all the bones in your armature. So now it comes to actually editing the weights of these vertices to the bones. So your basic working method is to select a bunch of vertices. So let's take this one, for example. We'll just select this whole ring. This is the base operation of the tool and what you're probably going to be doing the most of. So once you've got vertices selected, it's going to list the bones that's weighted to those vertices. Down here, I can select one or even multiple bones, and then I can set values to it. So the basic ways to set values is, first of all, you can nudge them. So this is the nudge number. You can set the amount it should nudge each time you click the plus or the minus. Then you select the bone you want to apply these changes to. And then you can just go and plus and minus this. So let's just set this to less sensitive number. So this will move it each time a little bit more. And here I can go and you can see it updating live. So you just keep on clicking until you got them exactly where you want them. And if you want them to move a little bit less each time and adjust these values even less, you just set this to a lower number. And it will always do it to the bone or the bones selected down here. So here I can push it towards bone 2, or I can pull it away from bone 2. And as you press these, you'll see each time it will update. And this gives you very fine control. I know there's some other methods where you can adjust it in other ways, but with this, you can do it to very fine values, and you just keep on pressing plus or minus to exactly what you want. The second way to set weights or to adjust the weights, the selected vertex weights to the bone selected down here, is to use these quick values. So I could just go to bone 2, I just want 10% value, or 25% value, or half the value, or 75% of the value. So you can very quickly set the values here. So these are your quick set ones. Then you can also apply a specific value. So if I want to just apply 0.3 or any number you type in here, you can quickly apply it here. So there you can set your own number, and this is the quick set numbers. And then you can also do it to multiple bones. So So say I want this equally shared between those two bones. I can select both of them and I can just set it to 0.5. And now each of them will have 0.5. Also, if it's not in this bones list, like I said, you can list all the bones. So let's do something crazy. So this base bone here is this one called base. And I'm just going to give it some value. So I'm going to assign this whole ring to follow this one 100% or 1. And it's not going to give a nice result, but you can assign it to any bone you want. So by listing all the bones here, you can assign weights to any bone you want. If it's slightly out of range or if it's completely out of range, it doesn't really matter. And that brings us to when you make a mistake or if there's some vertices that's not great and just flying off in weird directions, you can very quickly fix those vertices with the Hammer Normalize Skin Weight tool. So what this will do, it will look at all the vertices surrounding each vertex and it will try and find an average value between the surrounding vertices and assign it to this one. So in this case, we took a whole row over there, and when we normalize, the ones next to it will get a bit of value as well. So we'll have to normalize a few times to bring it back. But you just click it as many times as you need just to bring the normalized value back. If it was just one vertex and I was just looking at the surrounding ones and I did assign a weird value to it, and it's over there, the normalize will work a little bit better because it's got more information to read from. And then if you want to look at this and you see, but you know, this base bone, I don't want any value on that one because I didn't like there to be values on this one. And there shouldn't be values from this bone on those ones, but there's clearly some bleeding through here. You can change that as well. You can just set that bone to 0 and it will remove all those values. So you can also very easily remove any bone's value. So if you've got any selected vertex and it lists a bone here that you don't want any values on, you just can very quickly select that bone and remove that skinning altogether from that vertex very easily. And that brings me to the copy paste. So there is a copy paste functionality already built in Blender, and this is just a quality of life, an easily accessible way to access that capability. So I can take the values of any of these verts over here, copy those values, and then I can go and paste it to any other vertex or even multiple vertices. I can go and paste those values. So those vertices will then behave like this one. So in this case, it's not really what I want. So I'm just going to normalize them back and fix them. And if you also got one here, let's paste that value back again. Another way to fix things on skinning is to just get a neighboring vertex. So let's get a vertex over there. We can copy the value of that and just go and paste it to that one. And that might give you a more accurate result. And now I've messed up this line a little bit. So let's go back in here and I can just either normalize it or I can select that one. I can select those two and just set those two exact values again. And that will bring it back to what I want it to be. So this just gives you lots of flexibility to quickly set values over single or multiple vertices to whichever bones you want, and even multiple bones at the same time. Lastly, in this section, we have the max selected verts. So this is just if you got a mesh with hundreds of thousands of millions of polys. Very often, what could happen, you could accidentally double click on it. That means it's going to go through every single vertex in your mesh and it's going to try and work out this bones list and the values for them. And if you've got a very dense mesh, this could take a little bit of time. So just to safeguard against that kind of scenario, I've set here a max selected verts. So if you are accidentally selecting more than 20,000 verts, it will not automatically update this list. And if you do want it to update and you got a lot more verts, you can set this to any value you want. And you can also make it less if you've got a machine that's not that powerful and that is slowing down for this list. So you can set this to a smaller number. The default is 20,000, and I found that it performs fine with this amount of verts. I've never had it slow down. But you can set this less if you do find that you're having some problems. That was a quick run through of the skin weight editing or the Vertex Skin Weights editing for this tool. There'll be separate videos for the mirror weights and the copy skin weights. So please have a look at those. They really simplify the process of doing those steps. And they do it on a slightly different way than the standard tools by working more on the per vertex basis. Cool. So thank you very much, and have a look at the other videos for mirror skin weights and copy skin weights. And I hope you find those tools very helpful too.